Select Board meeting of January 6, 2025 to order. Additions and deletions to the agenda.
It was recommended that we, as the last order of business, a discussion on hiring of officials for recreation matters, recreation sporting events, which may include an executive session, but I'm not sure at this point. Liam will join us.
I move to add to the new business part of the agenda as the last order of business, a discussion on the process of hiring officials for recreational sporting events, which may include an executive session to consider the appointment or employment of a public employee pursuant to Title I VSA Section 313A3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 3, minutes approval, meeting of 12/16/2024.
I move to approve the minutes of the Select Board meeting of December 2nd, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 4 is Select Board pay orders.
I move to approve the pay orders for payroll and accounts payable.
Second.
All those in favor?
Can I just ask a question, because I'm
Yep.
looking right at it? This check warrant report, this looks new.
It
this
is
new format?
because Numeric was
our
down.
software was not working today, so I had to hand do.
You hand did, got it.
There's no
Okay.
checks either.
Perfect timing, thank you. Right. I moved it, do we have a second?
I seconded it.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Item 5 is announcements and correspondence. Yep, I already signed that one. Sign that one.
One thing that did come in is the town's audit for fiscal '24, and we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting, but we have a couple of paper copies if anybody wants them.
Do you have an electronic?
Yeah, well,
I have an electronic,
Yeah,
I'll send it out to you.
yeah, we'll get that.
It's on my list.
Do they typically come and give a presentation?
No.
They don't,
No.
they could, but they don't.
Okay.
No other real announcements other than what I'll roll into other agenda items, but some correspondence in the meeting packet is an update letter from the Community Fund for Londonderry and on the use of the ARPA funds that they were granted and other town initiatives. We have a copy of the town's group net metering registration form for the town office rooftop solar panels, which was submitted before the end of the year. That's to the Vermont Public Utility Commission, and that allows us to, apparently they can't deny it, but allow us to group net meter based upon that 10 kilowatt solar panel on the roof. We have correspondence from Brophy Lane property owner Peter Lerner regarding the bridge out warning sign at the end of the road that we've discussed over the years with some photos and whatnot. We also have catering permit request forms from Ski Magic LLC.
Is the Brophy Lane item, I didn't remember to look.
It's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda,
But-
but we should at least respond in some way, or at least have a conversation, shouldn't we?
Right, well, I think we should have Josh available at the meeting, I think, and any discussion of that.
Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Anything from town office?
Dog licenses are new this year, so pricing went into effect, and we're starting to roll in, so let's hear it out.
Very good. Item 6, visitors and concerned citizens. Seeing no hands, move on. Item 7, town official business, 7A, Board of Listers successor, discuss results of the 2024 equalization study.
Yes, over here. So we got a copy of the letter that the state sent over. I think she included in the packet. Kind of essentially what it's saying, this year it's a little different than most years. The state had passed what's Act 183 and effectively taking, basically takes into account the average of all the CLAs without the state. So the CLA is the common level of appraisal. So what the state does, I don't want to go too far, but like what the state does is take a 3-year sales study takes the sales and compares it against the assessments and develops a ratio. And so they say, on average, what's this, what ratio needs to be applied to get this to fair market value? It's kind of the way it's taken into account. So like, it's actually, it ends up working out pretty good for the, I'll give you an example, for the town of Londonderry. The CLA would have been, and that's what this is saying, would have been 62.65%, you know, if this new statute wasn't, or this act wasn't put into place. But now it's going to be, so that like the statewide average was 72.36. And so when you divide our number by, according to this new statute, by the 72.36, that's how they derive the 86.58%. So, you know, if you were kind of look at this on like a $100,000 assessment, like, so on the old calculation, if you took $100,000, the effective, like the fair market value was, like when the CLA applied to it, would be $159,616, so roughly $160,000. If you use the new state, with this new CLA, state, what do they call it? The state applied, get the technical term, it's a new one to me. The SA rate, essentially. You take 100,000 and you get 115.5 basically. So that's, you know.
So it helps, we lucked out.
Yeah, basically. I mean, essentially, it's good for. Well, we'll see how it shakes out statewide. I mean, on the surface, it seems like, you know, that the adjustment to the assessment will be less to bring it to fair market value. That's 86 versus 65, and that's.
So you're always fighting to get as close to 100% as you can every year with your study. And when you don't, when you drop, that's when reappraisal kicks in.
Right.
And the 10 years that we used to do will no longer work anymore. And what was it, on 46 sales? The median was 495.
Oh, yeah, that was, the median house sales for this past year was 495,000 for all the sales. Yeah, the average sale.
46, I think.
For single family home for residents this year, so. And I think if you looked back to 2018, I put that in the account report, I think it was about 204,000 was the median house sale, and the 2018 is significant because that's when our last reappraisal was done, so.
How do we compare to other cities and towns in Vermont? Are we in the ballpark?
Well, I can tell you that last year there was a trigger that they did away with. The CLA used to be a trigger. So if you drop below 20%, you would be triggered by the state to do a reappraisal, which caused, it was over 157 out of the 240 towns were under a mandate. So we're average. I mean, we're nothing special, I guess. I mean, we're like our neighbors, I guess, is what I would say.
We're all kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yes.
And most all of us around have been mandated, to do the reappraisal.
Ours is 2028 or something.
Right. I mean, if you look at a heat map of the sales throughout the state, I mean, the ski towns and the resort towns were more desirable towns, and so we do fall within that category. But the state as a whole is still, we've become a popular spot, I
Like
guess.
Manchester is full. I mean, they have a ton of sales this year.
They've what?
So,
Did a lot of sales.
they did a lot.
We actually had less sales this past year than the year prior, so it is some of it is slowing down. As the prices get higher, we're seeing some stuff stay on the market longer, but it hasn't like reversed, or the trend is still in place.
See, the hard part is, there was like a couple in Manchester, they paid 600,000, their assessment was 600,000 on a house. They paid 900,000. They're still thinking, oh, my tax bill will be 600,000. Then the reappraisal comes along, and they did a little work on the house, so the value of the house is 920. They're still thinking in their head, I paid 600. And 25% increase does not do that for you.
Thank you very much.
that all you got for that one?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just kind of basically, it's, yeah, nothing. I mean, I think it's going to help. I think the new adjustment does help, specifically the town of Londonderry, where I would be interested to see how this plays out with the towns above that statewide average of, 72. Like if you're above that, I'd be interested to see how it impacts those towns, because effectively the state average should bring those towns down. So they would have to pay more to bring than they otherwise would have if that state average wasn't applied.
Okay, moving on to 7B, Board of Listers. Appoint new lister to fill vacancy.
We did post a notice of vacancy on December 2nd after the resignation of Mr. DeGiorno, and I don't...
Mrs. Del Giorno. You said Mr.
No, you said Lister.
Yes.
Lister.
Oh, Lister. Oh, sorry.
Help me out. And the notice indicated that anybody interested should let our town clerk know.
Anybody who's not having
No one. So there's that vacancy continues, and which kind of brings us into the next agenda item. But so there's no one who was raised their hand.
All right. So let's move on to 7C, Board of Listers successor. Discuss proposal to restructure the Board of Listers.
So we're going to have to probably table this after further review of the statute. And initially, we talked to a couple of DAs, and they said that we might be able to have it so that as an assessor, I could act and operate as that third lister. But I mean, Shane had discussed this with Shane a little bit today. The statute says that we'd have to drop below the lister majority, so our board would actually have to consist of one lister in order to appoint myself as that, to bring us back up to majority.
I think what the best thing to do is to keep the opening posted. I'll keep talking to people, and then see, leave it as it is to town meeting. As long as it's posted. I talked with the DA today, and that was the recommendation that was given to me, and that's after reviewing Title 17, 26, 51C.
Good memory. I was checking.
That's the best course of action, legally.
So we thought that might be a good opportunity to kind of say, hey, look, that I could just, my job description says that, hey, I'm doing the work of the lister, I'm acting as a lister, but I don't technically have the authority of a lister. And so we're like, well, I'm just operating as a lister. I'll just, put myself in that third position. But it's not really, doesn't look like it's an available option to do that.
And he doesn't live here either, so that was another.
Yeah, I could have been hired as elected as a lister if I was a resident.
Right.
So
One of the
essentially,
things included in the meeting packet on pages 24 and 25 are the different assessing office scenarios. So at some point, it makes sense to just talk about the different options. One is to stay with what we've got, which is the listers and the assessor, but there's other, you could have a board of listers only, and an active lister board with a contracted assessor doing essential responsibility, assessor with listers doing only essential responsibilities, or the town could always vote at town meeting to do away with the office of the lister. So these different options that have, and what's interesting is on page 25 has the pros and cons of each of these, which is kind of interesting reading.
currently we operate basically in a scenario 3 under that, where I'm acting as a lister and then doing a lot of the essential duties of the assessor, and then the listers are operating as the board, so like participating in grievances and appeals and other tasks.
Reviewing changes, payment notices to see that we all agree they're fair.
Isn't number 2 where it's active board of listers?
Yeah, but I think both of them. Oh, yeah. No, I think both of them have scenarios, routine data instead of listers on
Could be that the listers just meet quarterly, say, as opposed to doing the day-to-day work, which is what an assessor would normally do.
Thank you. Moving on to item 8, transportation, solid waste management, 8A's updates.
Did you want to plan commission?
Mr. Phelps. All right, 7D, planning commission, discuss budget. Sorry about that.
Hi, Phyllis Baldwin from the Planning Commission. On page 28 of your meeting packet, the Planning Commission has unanimously voted not to accept the stipend for the fiscal year 24-25. Instead, we are respectfully requesting the select board accept our suggestion that the $4,200, which was budgeted for that fiscal year, be used for the purchase of chairs for the balcony of the town hall, with one plaque to read in recognition of the town hall renovation committee 2024. The second portion of that was requesting that the $4,200 stipend for the 25-26 be reduced to $3,000, and that the $1,200 difference be divided between education and communication for the town council. And that was based on information that we had received a couple of months ago. But on page 53 of the budget, you'll see that it's already been reduced. But we are discussing that the person that we have working the IT portion with the Zoom get some money for his efforts. And Steve has indicated that he would like someone to help him with the minutes and transcribing them. But if the budget has already been reduced, then I suppose that's a moot point.
Well, it's not set in stone.
It's not set in stone.
I only reduced it because we give, because there's only 5 of you instead of 7.
So we could increase the education to 1,600 and the communications to 3,600.
There's also been discussion about having Sally cover planning commission meetings as well. That was discussed early on, wanted to see how things were going to go, and whether or not you would have the opportunity to do the, spend time on those as well. That could be another way to do it.
I didn't hear anything.
I'm sorry. Sally does the minutes for the select board, and there is money in the budget for her to handle other boards and committees, and one of which could be the planning commission. And so that's up to the board to decide whether or not we should, seek, find out if you can do it, frankly.
We talked about this briefly, Tina, about a good way for this money to get transferred into the town hall renovation fund, or?
Really should be voted on because it's a reserve fund.
Yeah.
Well, reserve, but the way it's designed, you can take money from any source.
Okay. But it's coming from ourselves, so.
Right. I mean, the cleanest thing would be for people to take it and then donate it back.
Yeah.
And take a tax write-off. You get it both ways.
That may take some thought.
Yeah.
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 I just didn't know how we were gonna move it into.
I don't know.
Would be able to be specified for
The problem is that once the budget year's over, it's gone.
Yes.
You can't roll it over, so.
Somehow it's gotta go into the reserve fund.
What's that?
Somehow it's gotta go into the reserve fund.
Yeah.
To be kept.
I guess they could take some unassigned fund balance and.
The board can vote to allocate, that money to, you can put that, I'm sure the board can just vote to put it in.
So,
and for the specific purpose of the chairs and the balcony.
In this
Yeah.
current fiscal year, so.
Well, no, if it goes in the reserve fund, it can roll, because I don't know
Yeah,
if
then it
those
would
chairs
stay.
are gonna get done this fiscal year.
Yeah.
More likely next fiscal year.
And we can just vote on that next meeting, right? figure out the best way to
Yeah,
do it.
when we finalize the budget, we can work that out.
I certainly appreciate the planning commission's thoughtfulness about seats in the balcony. That's great.
I have a lot of memories in the town hall, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to item 8, transfer station solid waste management. 8A's updates. The only update I have is the vending machine. We're still waiting on the credit card processing company to get that all figured out so we can accept cards. I also had to reconfigure every tray and take out motors, and it's been a process. But I think we got it so it might work now. But that's
Every tray in the vending machine?
Yeah, I had to take the trays out because they were set too small for the cards.
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up having to take two sections out of each tray and expand all the things and move some wires around, and we don't need to get into that.
There goes the warranty.
It was fun. No, the guy told, we had the Zoom meeting
Oh,
with him, and he told us this is how you do it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So,
Super.
but I think we're gonna test that tomorrow and make sure everything's working good. And then we're just waiting for the processing company.
Yeah.
Sorry for any delay. Item 9, roads and bridges, 9A's updates. Since we don't have anyone here, I don't think we have
We've
any.
been busy
Yeah,
with all these little snowflakes.
yeah.
They've done a great job.
9B, better roads, road erosion inventory, ratify filing of letter of intent.
Yeah, we've been given notice some months ago about filing for the Better Roads program, and we received a reminder from Wyndham Regional Commission last week, I think it was, to get it done. And so normally it requires a select board approval. I just went ahead and did it, and I'm asking for ratification from the board. Interestingly enough, we received notice today that we actually got the money already. It's
That's right.
9,000, no, excuse me, it's just short of $9,000, 8,864. But we've already received authorization for that money. So it was a last minute thing, had to get it done.
Yeah.
So
Time crunch. Anyone care to make that motion?
Sure. I move to ratify the submittal of a letter of intent for participation in the fiscal year 2025 Better Roads Program.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Moving on to item 10, old business. 10A, consider code of ethics investigation and enforcement ordinance policy.
Give me a second. The Vermont League of City Towns finally came out with some further information about the Vermont ethics requirements, and strongly recommends that municipalities adopt an ordinance allowing for, setting forth its process for dealing with ethics violations or alleged ethics violations. And so what you have in your meeting packet is I've done a markup of the recommended ordinance. Where did it go?
It's on 37.
Page 37.
Yeah, page 37. And we have a boilerplate that we've been using for other ordinances, so the authority, purpose, and, the layout is the same as our others. And then everything in red is what I'm recommending we remove. Things in blue are to be inserted. It's mostly minimal sort of things, but again, it can always be changed, but we do have to have an ordinance, and it makes it a little bit different than what the board approved at the last meeting, which had the Ethics Commission handle complaints, and this would have the town's designee, who is the town clerk, handle those, but it wouldn't be in effect for another 60 days should the board approve it.
I'm seeing it keeps saying the select board chair in here.
No, but the person who presents the complaint to the select board chair is the designated official, right? The designated complaint
If
recipient.
there's a complaint about the designated official, then it goes to
Oh,
the select board
okay,
chair.
that's what I was reading wrong.
Right.
I had a feeling I was reading something wrong in there. Perfect.
So what we approved before gets overridden by this?
It would, yeah.
It would, okay. Do you have any reason to think that, I mean, we're just gonna go along with this?
I don't anticipate a whole lot of action
Yeah.
under this ordinance.
Yep.
You know, not a whole lot of ethics concerns that I'm aware of or have been aware of. So it may be used on occasion, but it is under state law, something we're required to do.
I don't have a problem with it, read kind of well.
I don't either.
Anyone can make that motion?
Make the motion. I move to adopt the Code of Ethics Investigation and Enforcement Ordinance as presented. Such amendment to take effect after 60 days unless a petition is filed as provided for under 24 VSA, subsection 1973B.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That appeal needs to take place within 44 days. If it doesn't, then on the 60th day, it's active. So what I'll do is, I have to put this in the newspaper and give, and I think 5 locations in the community. So I'll take care of that over the next, has to be done, I think, within 10 days.
10B, recommendations on the future of Williams Dam. Back at it.
This hasn't been dealt with since August, and at some point needs to be dealt with. So I figured, I suggested we bring it up.
My idea is, one thing that hasn't been looked at is alternatives to the dry hydrant where it is now, and maybe we get, what's his name, Todd from the state in?
Dare, is that his name?
Todd Dare, to take a look and give us a list of options. That way we at least have that information.
Are you talking about a dry hydrant up at that mill pond or
I'm talking
somewhere
about
else?
him looking at the whole area and telling us where a dry hydrant would work if the board voted to remove the dam.
Well, it says in here that he assists communities with firefighting water supply needs. Why don't we also ask that he look at cisterns?
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't just
No,
focus on the dry hydrant, though, that's important. I
Yeah.
think there are other options for us, because it felt like every time we talked about one thing, there were concerns against it, so I'd rather have,
Yes, it's during any
whatever,
viable
yeah.
option.
Option for water supply.
Oh, I know who he is. We've met with him before,
Yep.
with the fire departments.
Any thoughts on that? Being on the fire department?
Yeah, it's time like I said from the beginning, it's just gotta be able to do what we can do now.
Yep.
If it did go that route, because right now what we have is our best option.
Right.
Without asking, we don't know what the other options could be.
So no matter what, you gotta find information from all sides and all points so the town can make a decision. Has anyone reached out to Scott Jensen at all
Scott Jensen
from the town?
He,
on the dam? Not that I know of.
Because
He
he's,
wouldn't be involved in the dam.
well, I'm talking about like, because we're talking about the alternatives here, and I've heard the discussion on the dredging thing before, and I've heard about what state said no, but from my understanding, the decision ends with him.
I don't know if the decision ends with him, but the one thing I've seen in the email from him was the state would not let Weston dredge their dam, the one that was damaged.
Right.
And therefore, he found it very unlikely that they would ever let us do it.
Yeah, I just,
Because I did ask the state, because I've been told by the state multiple times that they will not give us a permit, and I asked them for a letter saying that.
because from my understanding
They
from,
won't give us that either.
well, I'm saying from my understanding, I think he's the one who makes that decision on that permit.
is he? What's his
He's a
title?
river
He's
engineer.
got- Yeah, he's the river engineer for this region. We
Okay.
work
Well,
with him all the
I
time.
bring him up just as would it hurt to bring him in to hear, or via phone call, or ask him to come in just to get more information from his, just to give more information out there to the public. I think he'd be good to bring in, just that, if there are, just for the alternative, just for discussion on that alternative, just so it's out there for information for the people to look at.
Right.
If it is actually possible, how would the process be? Is that something people actually want to look at or not? Just more information, the better.
I do know in the 90s, the state did deny a permit request to do it. I
Right.
do know that.
Just if this is the individual that you go through, it'd just be good to hear from him.
Yep.
He's probably one of 10 people who have to
Well,
stamp anything at
I think he does this district alone. I think he does this district. We're in his district, so.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely, yeah.
So since we're in his district, it'd be good
Yeah.
to reach out and just be like, whether it's like Ben Green that time, either via phone or if he can make it to a meeting, just that if anybody has questions or just more information, the better, that's all. To help towards this decision making.
Anticipate that question. Yep.
Yeah, because it's gonna come up again. And why not have, if it is someone that potentially has that final answer, why not have it?
I know that Wilmington went through a similar process that
Yes.
we're going through, and they did do something with, it did affect their primary water source for firefighting, if I'm not mistaken.
It did.
And any idea if anyone's connected with them, or?
That, I don't know too much into it. I just know the outside basics like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't know
Might
too
be
much
worthwhile
into the
finding out.
details.
Might be worthwhile finding out what happened there.
Yeah.
So he might, I don't know if you know, he might know something about that. Maybe he can present, maybe he can, say what those details were. Or we can reach out to Wilmington and see,
I would say reach out to
and see what they did
Wilmington,
for their water source. I just figured more information the better, so if we could reach out, maybe invite him, and if anyone's got any questions, then.
Yeah.
I found the email that Marie Caduto sent me with his response that when she asked him about the dredging. He said, "While it has happened, I am skeptical that it would be permitted. When Weston wanted to dredge the Cold Spring Park ponds, they were denied several times." That's simply what he told her.
Yep.
I'm just curious as to what the dredging of the pond thought would accomplish.
No, we're just looking at the alternatives if we were to keep the dam. It's just an alternative to keep the dam. Is it possible to, use dredging in any way to clean up the front of it or around the hydrant?
Okay, as far as the hydrant, I can understand, but as long as you understand that dredging the pond will have absolutely no effect.
Right, I just want to, yeah, it's just hearing it from
Okay.
the guy that, it's just getting more information out there for the public, that's all.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, for me, it's just getting as much information out there as possible to make this decision easier for everybody. Or to make, so people can take whatever opinion they have and get all the information they have to make a decision.
Wondering if it would make sense to have, I mean, all A&R representatives there. I mean, thinking about Marie Caduto and Ben Green
I think it would.
and Scott Jensen, you know, the real decision makers, if you will.
I think it
So
would.
that, yeah, I'm sure they're game to do it, but again, I remember that, I recall when we had whatever the larger meeting here was, that they said we basically have a year and a half to make a decision, because the money's gonna dry up.
Yeah.
Where are we in that timeline?
Well, we're
About a year
getting
into it.
pretty close.
Yeah.
That makes sense. If it's,
And that's money for what?
To remove.
To remove the dam? Okay.
That's money that's available now, that you could get it immediately. Ron Rhodes has said he will find the money. It might just take him a lot longer than it would right now.
well, if it is feasible to do that, it'd be great to have them all here. So like I said, if the public has any questions or if we have any questions, just to help the process along.
And I'm sure this is going to be a topic of the long-term recovery team.
Oh, of course, yeah. Definitely will be.
Should we try to set up a meeting with them at at a select board meeting, maybe 2 meetings from now, early February.
I would say so.
Like, too short a time, imagine for 2 weeks. They probably wouldn't be able to be here in person.
Yeah, that's why I suggested even if it's the phone like we did with Ben Green that time.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Any other discussion? No? All right. 10C, appoint members to the Long-Term Community Recovery Committee.
Helen's here.
Helen from the Conservation Commission has asked to be on the committee?
Beautification committee.
No.
Oh, Conservation.
Conservation, I'm sorry.
So what we're thinking is that, you know, it would be a position for the Conservation Commission, and if I was unable to attend, another Conservation Commission member would go in my place. Would that be acceptable?
Well, the planning commission had an alternate, I believe. Yeah, and I think we have.
So it would just be, I mean, I would be the point person, but if I would visit my grandchildren, somebody else. Great.
You can have an alternate.
Yeah, it should be feasible because we have an alternate, planning commission has an alternate. So,
Okay, that would be,
yeah, it should be easily done.
No, we're glad you're stepping up
Yes, thank you.
to be part of that.
Is anyone that can fully explain this to you yet?
No.
It's gonna be about so it's gonna be probably 1 or 2 meetings a month for 6 to 8 months. We only have about 8 months because Mark Leash, FEMA, he can't stay in the Vermont after that because of FEMA rules. It's a very odd thing that FEMA does, but.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
So the head guy, Kelly Pyol is also helping, but there's the main guy from FEMA who does this with towns. He's been doing it for years. He only has about 8 months until he has to be transferred out of the state.
So we only have 8 months.
So we have about 8 months before we should have that done. And our next meeting is the 16th here.
15?
16th. 4:30. 4:30.
Is that Thursday?
Yeah, that agenda will be coming out here.
Conservation Commission.
No.
I'll see if we can just change our,
Yeah.
work with your schedule.
Well, here's
Here's your
your
chair.
chair right behind you.
Yeah, that.
It's about time.
Just in time, soon.
Yeah, the agenda should be out shortly. I know I have a meeting with Kelly and Mark tomorrow about the agenda.
So are these usually via Zoom, or do we meet in person? In person.
We meet in person. Yeah.
Here?
Yep. Yeah, it'll be a long process, but hopefully it's a good one.
Great, yeah.
Anyone can make that motion?
I'm happy to make it. I move to appoint Helen Heyman to the Long-Term Recovery, Community Recovery Committee to serve a term to December 16, 2025.
Second.
Oh, second, sorry.
All those in favor? Aye. I will loop Kelly in and she'll get you some information that we've had before.
You have my email.
And I send a standard email to them. So.
Perfect, thank you. Moving on to 10D, Town Office renovations, consider change orders. I should know what these are off the top of my head.
Yeah, I was just going through them last night.
Going over we attend the weekly meetings we have with the contractor, our architect, and our project engineer. And we were talking about whether or not we should insulate the whole building. And originally, we decided not to, feeling that what was really important is the basement level and the attic level, and we didn't need to do anything with the walls. The feeling was now, almost everything's down, and why not finish the envelope and do it right?
And they did notice some icing or something outside too, where they could tell where air was escaping.
Right, so the feeling was just get it done while it's all taken apart, and we did ask the contractor to get different look at different alternatives. And if you look at page 45 of the meeting packet, you'll see there's 3 different options: 3.5-inch spray foam, 2-inch spray foam, and 4-inch dense pack, and it gives the R values of those. And it also, we had found out that we tried to see if Efficiency Vermont would help with that cost, and the feeling was that they would not, primarily because they felt that the overall impact to the building didn't deserve it, given the amount of money that they had to provide. So we could live without it, but the feeling of, at least my feeling, and I know that, Chris Cole, who's our engineer, said we could do without it. But his recommendation is that we go with a 2-inch spray foam for a little under $20,000. And the feeling was now's to strike while the fire's hot, get it done, so that we're not regretting this, not doing it in 5 years. And over time, the feeling is it would pay for itself over the life of the building.
Hey, right now, there'll be minimal work to get to the walls and insulate it.
Yeah.
Right, it's just tearing, this includes removing the drywall, putting the drywall back up. So that's actually a pretty good price. So that, there is one on page 46 is the change order that's written up as though it was the highest priced one, but we would make an amendment if you would just change that out.
To 19,000.
Yeah, and then on page 48, you'll see that we also received a credit. That is, we did have floor outlets in the town clerk and town treasurer's office. We decided we didn't need those in consultation with these guys. We'll also get a credit next month because in consultation with Jeremiah and Will, the feeling was we didn't need built-in shelving units in the back of those offices like we used to have. So you can always just buy some shelving if necessary, because they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, that'll be a couple grand, they said, probably 4 to 5.
Yeah, so that'll be some savings there. It would be nice to have those, but actually Jeremiah really didn't want them at all.
Okay.
So that's where we are. We're getting close to not having change orders anymore. Once the walls are up. We did today, just as by way of update on the project, we had Pete Smith, who's our IT consultant, our vendor for IT. He came and took a look at it today, and we wanted, before all got closed up in the IT closet and all that, we wanted him to look at it and make sure it was good. He also had his wiring expert come in, and there are potential issues with wiring. They may not be an issue, but there were some questions that before the building gets closed up, all the drywall put up, we want to resolve those if we can. So I put into contact Chris Cole, our engineer, with Pete Smith, and they're talking about things of which I don't understand, frankly. But we want to make sure that no mistakes are made at this time that we regret in the future. So.
And finishing the IT was part of their scope of their work, so getting it all set up for us.
Right. I guess when speaking to Chris Cole, that's normal, that we finish out the work for something like that.
So the guy's going to give us a quote on what it's going to take to finish.
Right. There's...
But you guys are pleased? Everybody's pleased, though, with how it's going? And
in general, it's going great.
Great.
They're basically on schedule. They had a big door delivery today. They're taking it to it, and they're very professional, very clean the way they do the job.
Sheetrock's supposed to be going up next week?
Drywall 13th. I think the electrical inspector's coming tomorrow, I believe. I think that's what the schedule calls for. So everything's moving along really well. And, we're a couple of days off the schedule, maybe. Less than a week off schedule.
good.
Potentially in the summer when we're all moved back in, I'd hopefully like to do a grand, not opening, but open house.
Open house.
So that people can see.
Great idea. Your tax dollars are working.
Yeah. See how it's changed.
Well, do we do the change order? Do we vote that?
Yeah, I've recommended motions for that.
Here it is. Ready? I move to authorize a change order for the town office renovation project to address the need to install additional insulation at a cost of $19,894 and to acknowledge a change order credit of $1,108 due to not installing floor outlets in the town clerk and treasurer's office, and authorize the town administrator to execute any documents necessary to implement these change orders.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to item 11, new business. 11A, consider request to use town hall.
Winter Regional Commission hoping to do a public meeting on the revised regional plan. They try to get, various communities to do these. So it would be in this room. I would think that we would want to waive any fees, but still require insurance.
I think that looks fine.
Anyone care to make that motion?
Sure. I move to authorize use of the Town Hall meeting room by the Wyndham Regional Commission on the evening of February 13th, 2024, for a public meeting on the draft Wyndham Regional Plan update, to waive applicable fees, and to authorize the town administrator to sign the required facility use agreement on behalf of the town.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
11B, review and discuss proposed fiscal year 2026 budget.
There's still some things that I got to tweak that were close. You gotta get some numbers for maintenance on the new building. So I think next time we'll go over it line by line, but I just wanted to give you a preliminary. Right now it's looking like what the grand list is right now, currently the working grand list, that the tax rate will go up about 4 cents over last year. And it could go up even less if the grand list gets bigger, which on a $100,000 assessment means somebody would pay an extra $32. Did anybody have any questions, burning questions about that?
So I wasn't sure, because I don't have the Excel spreadsheet in front of me, but on the second page, page 2, the top one under salaries didn't seem to add right to me.
Under what one?
Under total, under salaries, the 25 approval is 313 and the 26 is 386, and I couldn't figure out where $60,000 increase was in that. There's 20 in the treasurer,
Yeah.
but that was it.
No, that may be wrong then.
Well, you have all those same numbers for 25 and 26, so not all the same.
Not all the same.
Yeah, there's only one that has a big
Some
change, which is the treasurer.
Yeah. I don't.
You may
have
just
it.
want to run that one again.
Yeah, I
don't know why it
will.
was
This is
so
why
high.
I need to go over it again.
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
like sit down and,
No, see.
must be something maybe added in there twice.
Yeah. But other than that, it's fine to me, yeah.
What's that?
Other than that, all the
Yeah, that
sections
changed
are fine.
the FICA head. So it will probably go down a little bit.
Yeah.
I did the, for everybody, 2.5% raise, which is what the, cost of living.
Except for the town administrator.
Yeah, I know
You're
that.
not gonna be here.
Well, the town treasurer.
Well, then just zero it out.
I decided to ask for more money because I'm the lowest paid employee.
And I have no complaint, Tina, that was not my intent on that one.
We just
Thank you.
these ones.
No, thank you for this work. This is hard stuff.
Yeah, I still have,
there was-
with the next meeting, we'll sit down and go over it line by line, and I will check my spreadsheet.
So Helen had mentioned, oh, can I go?
You're the select board member, you can go whenever you want.
We're going. Helen had asked me about, and maybe Erwin, you know about this, a 2-year commitment for UVM student to do a forest study.
Yes.
Is that in
I
there?
believe
There's a
it's in-
$3,000 line.
Yes, it's in the budget.
It's in there, okay,
Yeah.
all right. I can't remember, so I forget.
It's under conservation. Yep.
I was just wondering if we should have a special select board meeting just for the budget, just to do that line by line, because I don't want to, there may be people who are interested in the budget, but it is that way we can have a real question and answer.
Yeah.
We definitely have done that before.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all for that.
And it needs to be approved by the 20th, along with the warning, so if you want to do sometime next week, I can do whatever night you need, or whatever, if you want to do an afternoon or a late afternoon.
I have a question. I should have asked you this before tonight. So that line item for that study is split up over 2 years. If you approve it now, we don't want to get it started unless we know that the whole thing will be paid at the end. So how would that work where we're splitting it up over 2 years? You can only approve the first half now. I guess I'm asking.
I would think they would,
Hopefully.
they would promise to approve it next year too.
Isn't there a conservation fund?
No, from their budget.
It's a budget item.
It's a budget item, not
Special study.
Why not pay for it from the conservation fund?
Because the conservation fund, it's not part of what the conservation fund does. Conservation fund has been used to acquire property and to assist landowners in putting their property into conservation, so we've been restricting it to those
But if
purposes.
this would help in that process, it would fit under that.
Well,
That one, again, that way, just want to say, that way you're not dealing with the fiscal years.
well, yeah, but we don't want to touch that money for this. No, the board's approved studies. I mean, this study will not just be something internal. It'll be used to inform zoning commission activities. It'll be used to inform planning commission. It'll be in compliance with Act 171, so it's got some broad value.
I would think that they would approve it next year too, if it's in the budget.
Promise.
We will, well, voters.
What's that?
Hopefully the voters vote.
Yeah.
What line is that?
It's Conservation Commission, I don't know what page it is, but it says Field Naturals Program, 3250.
Thanks.
Could be one money well spent.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I'm going to send something around for a meeting next week.
Yeah, that works.
Can afternoons work for people?
It's tight for me.
Not fair.
What's the earliest?
Late afternoon or evening.
4 or 5?
Yeah, probably between 4 and 5, yeah. At the latest, at the earliest. Not what that delivery schedule right now.
All right, moving on to 11C, review draft of town meeting warning.
This is the first draft. I know that Ally's found a couple of mistakes. And did you want to point those out?
Yep, so it's under the appropriations
Yeah.
links. There's, Red Cross did not submit any appropriations.
Okay.
The Historical Society did not submit any appropriations. The Visiting Nurse Association also did not submit any appropriation requests. And then the North Star Mountain Valley Health Council is under petition, so they're not, it shouldn't be in the warning unless they have till the 13th to,
They have till,
yeah, the 13th to have signatures to be.
Yeah, and the
So-
Historical Society.
Yeah, the Historical Society also did not submit appropriation requests. So that will change the.
Yeah, it changes to 54.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it drops about 13,500.
Said North Star.
Great.
Yeah, Mountain Valley.
Yeah.
That's what it is now.
Oh, I forget, it changes everything. So it's 12,
Oh,
13,
yeah.
1350.
He has it broken down into.
Yeah.
Off of that.
And then
It'd be 4172.
She said that. The Historical Society?
Yeah,
I don't even see him on there.
it's at the bottom.
LAS.
Londonderry Arts and Historical Society.
So anyway,
So it should be,
just kind of going back to the top, Article 3, those are the positions that are open this year, including the town clerk for a one-year term. Taxes due October 1st. We added 20,000 to Champion Fire. Going on to the next page, Article 8 we scrapped because that was the transport services and they got moved up.
Where is that showing now? Is it in the yellowed section?
It's right, it's at the top of that page.
Yeah, it's at the very top.
Oh,
Londonderry.
there it is, yeah, in blue. Okay.
Yeah.
Last year it was new, well.
Yes, yeah.
Newish, yeah.
And then moving down, everything else is kind of the same. Those are the reserve funds, Ash Borer, Highway Reserve, Town Buildings Reserve. And then per our long-term paving plan, we add $40,000 per year to highway improvement, so that goes from 300 to 340. Articles 12 and 13, I split up the ones that were discussed at the previous meeting having to do with the Community Economic Improvement Reserve Fund. So the first one, number 12, is simply to add housing to the purposes of the fund.
Yep.
13 is to add local option taxes to the list of revenue sources. So that's how that's split out. And then the next one, number 14, I think the board decided that it wanted to include a percentage as opposed to all of the local option tax, if I'm not mistaken. And so I wrote up the article and I've left that percentage blank, as you can see.
Did they ask for something in particular?
No, they said they were gonna look into it and come back to us.
I think so.
As
It's
far
in the
as
minutes,
They're gonna
but
come back soon?
Yeah.
it's in the minutes.
No, as far as what percentage, they were gonna look into it while other towns didn't come back to us, I believe.
That's right, that's right.
Right, and one thing I did is I sent out an email to all of the town administrators and town managers and asked them, those who have local option taxes, and asked what they do with them. And I was hoping to get to it today, but didn't. There was like 5 of them who did not respond. So otherwise, I've got basically everybody as to what they do. And for the most part, they take it in and apply it to as revenue, like what we do. But others do different things. And I did not ask for no one's offered what the percentages were that I'm aware of. But I'm putting together a matrix of that. I was going to share it back with all the others, and I'll try to have that ready for next, the special meeting next week if we can.
This has to be done by the 20th as well?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that'll be
So
helpful.
return on the 22nd?
Yep.
And then, so we're waiting on that percentage. Going to the next page, Article 15. So if the previous one fails, the idea would be to, again, add $5,000, as we've done for the past bunch of years.
For this new purpose, which includes housing, right?
If those pass.
If those pass, right, those sequentially.
Right, the
those
only
pass.
one, if those pass, that's fine, but it's the only one that Article 15 would not be net. We could pull 15 if 14 passes.
Correct. I don't know how you do that.
That is something that we need to do, is get for the special meeting, get, no, I'm having a brain fart.
The moderator?
Moderator. Doug, right.
Yeah,
His name wasn't coming to mind, but he has a busy schedule, so we should probably check with him early, because I know he's got classes at the rescue squad. And there's one tonight, I know, that he's doing.
yeah. Oh, and if it's on a Monday.
Yeah.
Well, we should send him the warning at the very least and
Yeah.
see if he has any weighing on.
Well, we can do the budget and the warning next week at the special meeting.
Okay,
If Doug's available, we'll do the warning.
okay. That would make my life easier too.
And then, Kingby Park Reserve Fund. There was request to put some money into that.
Yeah.
Not sure how much it would be.
People on that.
They're waffling on that, and I might know, they're having a meeting Thursday.
Is this like for a capital expenditure?
Yeah, because they want to hire an engineer and figure out, because the tennis court is in rough shape.
Oh, I remember this, yes.
Yeah, and so my suggestion was that they reserve some money instead of trying to, piecemeal.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, because they had a certain amount, and I was talking to Chad Stoddard about this, they had 18,000 or something that they had to use this year or else
yeah,
it's gone. So
which they might do to hire an engineer.
Yeah, so I think they're
Or to
gonna
get it-
start looking more at the reserve fund.
Yeah.
So that way they have it over time.
Yeah, and the tennis court was going to be
Big money.
astronomical. Yeah,
Big money.
yeah.
So we could always structure it much like we do with the budget. An amount to be determined.
Yeah,
And if they don't come back with a number.
yeah, they're having a meeting Thursday. So
Okay, good.
I'm hoping that I get a turn. Liam is coming.
Right?
At the end of the meeting.
Oh, you had something,
He's on the, something like that.
Well, this meeting's going a lot quicker.
I know.
yeah, because then,
Told them 8 o'clock.
yeah,
I figured we're gonna have a long discussion on the dam, say.
yeah. 'Cause what's he got going on?
Right now, he said he had dinner plans,
Oh, dinner plans.
but we could try to reach him.
It's right here.
It's recording, so it's busy. Well, I know what he wants to talk about, but there's a specific thing I don't know about. The executive session piece.
No, you texted him? All right, I was about to. Is this a real time sensitive, or could it be on the special meeting? Do we know?
The drafting?
That's fine.
Yeah, it has to do with hiring refs, and it's really a policy decision. I mean, I could give an overview, but it would be best for him
He's
to
20 minutes away.
I mean, I think the policy was to allow him to do it, right?
I can explain.
Yeah, I know some of it.
Yeah,
There was a potential for an executive session for an individual, which I don't know anything about. You might know.
well,
Well, let's just do the next one on the list and see how long that takes us.
yeah.
So, moving on to 11D.
Well, if you don't want to get here and have it be done,
Well, I'm sure by the time we get through this and we talk about the refs, it'll probably be pretty close, if not
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the recruitment process.
So 11D, discuss town administrator recruitment process. So we have our initial interviews tomorrow. We just wanted to see if anybody had any questions that they wanted us to ask, or discuss the questions that we are gonna ask.
Want to discuss the questions you guys are gonna ask?
Martha,
List them.
yeah, you got a good write-up.
I gotta figure out where I find them.
Because, yeah, I don't know.
And a second.
So that starts tomorrow, you said?
Yeah, we done them all tomorrow,
Nice.
all four. The initial one at least.
Go, go, go. Recruitment, find it.
That's good timing.
Okay. All right, so, these are my suggested questions. First, a thumbnail sketch of your background and why you are a good fit for this job. Examples of experience and a scenario where teamwork was involved. Examples of grantsmanship. What are the greatest challenges for a community like Londonderry? This one is a little bit funky, but examples of attention to detail. I need to figure out if this person knows how to work through things and be very attentive to what they're working on. How best do you work with supervision? So that's asking somebody if they like a long leash or if they like a short leash, or how do they like to work with their bosses? How do you best drive consensus? And then what would you like to ask us? It's just a first blush. Am I missing anything?
It covers the majority of it.
Yeah, there's just the one question for certain ones. Are you moving here, or how do you plan on getting here to do the job? That's one for at least one of them, if not.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that last meeting.
Other than that,
There'll be some individualized questions.
yeah.
I think we need to give them time to talk and just listen to
Well,
how
yeah,
they present themselves, how they structure their answers, and also just their sensitivity to the space we're giving in that conversation. Not to go on and on and on, and not to be just answering in one-word answers. So,
well, the questions you presented, I think that's a great way to start it. The individualized stuff, I think you can do at the end.
Yeah.
You can add those couple in at the end, just to kind of get more of a feel of.
I mean, sometimes you ask things like, so what was the last book you read? Or, I mean, just you
Yeah.
throw them off with something that makes them think a little bit about
Yeah. No, asking
their
them,
extracurricular activities. I don't know, but
asking them about them and going through that list that you initially gave is a great way to start. And like he said, if there's any individualized things that you just need to clarify,
yeah, or just follow a thread.
Yeah,
And
just
if they
follow-
start
yeah.
talking about something they did that was a great project, keep talking about it. Or,
yeah,
you know, yeah.
you'll get a feel when they start talking.
Right, right. And if we know that these are the questions that are on the table, we can go back and forth in some way or another in terms
Yeah.
of you take one, I take one.
I would assume some of them might be watching right now, so they're spilling the beans kind of.
You know my
That's fine.
tricks, yeah.
That's fine.
It's
You guys-
common, it's common.
These are, yeah, these are
every
not
10
uncommon questions.
Yeah.
This is the sort
Yeah,
of
that's
thing you
the
would
point.
expect. So.
Yeah,
You guys will do great at it.
yeah, yeah.
I did share some information from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns on the type of questions you cannot answer, cannot ask, which are the standard questions. So some guidelines Vermont League of Cities and Towns has
Yep.
that would be good for tomorrow as well as ongoing
Yep.
questions and answers. And I was hoping just to, the interviews are via Zoom, so I was just going to host and
Yeah.
just answer questions for you guys, and
Right.
to the extent that you want me to participate, I'm happy to do it or not do it.
There might be some questions that they have that you might
can
be best to
answer.
answer, just for like
Well,
time
I'll
and
ask-
various tasks and stuff.
I'll wait for you to give me the nod on
Yeah.
that, because,
But depending how their questions come up,
right.
you might be one of the best persons to answer a couple of them.
Right.
What do I think of the board? No. We'll take that offline.
Sounds good.
So, moving on to 11E, recreational director hiring officials and possible executive session.
So, it's become a little complicated. But we have one ref who needs to be paid by check, and the Stack Sports only does direct deposit. So we're wondering if Liam talked to a couple other towns about how they pay their employees, their refs, and I believe Ludlow said they pay them as a W-2 employee, so like a regular employee. Chester said they pay with the 1099. And I can't remember the reason why he said they could do that. It's because
It's not real consistent.
huh?
It's not real consistent.
No, it's not.
If I could, I think that he wanted to be able to talk to the board about whether or not he would be authorized to hire people on a temporary basis, a temporary recreational basis. And which is a real policy decision, because normally the board does hiring. Maybe there's a notice provision that.
So you're talking like hiring refs for the season,
Well,
like that kind of thing?
he does already get the refs, so it's not like, and it's for Mountain Towns rec, it's not just for the town of Londonderry, technically. So that's a caveat that, you know.
And I know sometimes, like my wife, when she does equinox lacrosse, you're sometimes talking to multiple refs trying to get them to do,
Yeah.
because one's busy or something came up.
But
That's the hard.
who pays these refs until now?
I think he's using Stack Sports, which pays them.
And so are they consultants to Stack Sports or are they employees?
It's just a processing
Yeah,
portal, it's not.
yeah. They have to enter they just have to sign up as a ref, and then they have to enter what games they refed, and then
So what is it? It's town of Londonderry money, right?
Liam's running it. I mean, I don't have anything to do with it.
Our money.
This is, yeah,
It's the
it comes out of the Mountain Towns Rec Fund, not out of the town.
Town of Londonderry MTR fund, which is a communal, multiple.
Which is all the registration money and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But doesn't it reside on the books?
What's that?
Doesn't it reside on our books?
It does, but it's not out of the general fund. It's a separate fund.
So they're town employees or town vendors,
Yeah.
but this person needs to be treated differently because of
Yeah.
financial matters.
Just one person, right?
Well, if we do, we should do it one way or the other. We shouldn't do it two different ways.
May not apply. Can you Venmo them? Is that?
No, you
Yeah,
can't,
use that.
they don't, you can't
Government
use
doesn't do
Venmo for government.
Oh.
And he doesn't have a bank account, so that's,
Oh.
you have to have a bank account to have Venmo.
We use them all as employers. Does that do anything?
Yeah, it's just whether you want Leo to be able to.
Well, I'm thinking, like, if we have so many employees, certain things kick in, don't they? Or is that just full-time employees?
That's just full-time.
Full-time, okay.
They wouldn't be considered full-time.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking if we
And
add
my-
so many employees, then.
Can we create, for Liam, a special designation so that, yes, he can employ these people for a finite period of time or X rate or whatever it is? Because I do worry about the sort of liability issues or the HR issues. I mean, we're asking somebody to be a hiring and firing agent when we don't do that for anybody else.
That's why
That
it's
is
a
the
policy
problem.
issue.
That's
yeah.
the problem. So can you conscript it in a
Yeah.
way?
You all can. I mean,
It can what?
you can change his job description to include the ability to hire and fire,
Refs.
yeah, referees and what have you. The problem is you have to figure out what the pay's gonna be. I would, that's something else.
Usually it's set per,
Yeah, it's a
per, like,
separate per game regardless.
lacrosse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
Female lacrosse.
could set whatever that policy is of
Yeah.
what the pay rate is, that he could hire someone on a temporary basis. And my understanding is under federal law, with recreation type employees, there's a whole different category. They can be let go at any time.
Yeah,
At will.
Yeah.
It's totally at will and probationary at all times.
yeah.
So once the season's over, they're done.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
good to know.
yeah.
I would recommend that, but I would ask he to work with you to come up with whatever the boundaries are for that delegated authority. Like, that's what we're doing, basically.
Just amend his job description to say he has the authority to hire officials to referee games.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
Because he definitely should be able to
Yeah.
do that.
It's soccer too.
So you referee, umpire, those are the two. 'Cause you're still
Yeah, referee or umpire, I guess.
You're an
Official.
umpire in baseball, softball.
So you limit it just to that.
Yeah.
That's it, that's all we can
This might be
hire
him right there.
and fire.
So,
And here he is.
There he
You
is.
need it.
no,
Oh, no problem, we're just
All
going
those in
quick.
favor?
I thought this was going till 8.
Yeah, well, we did too, but here we are.
You were just explaining what the generalized issue is of quandary of whether the refs and officials should be employees or vendors. And there being one official who...
Tell me what you told me today, because I couldn't remember.
Talking about
Between Ludlow and Chester.
So, reaching out to Nick, the director over at Ludlow, he has the permission to hire, and they hire using W-4s as employees. Talking with Matt at Chester, he has the permission to hire, and they hire with W-9s. And he has the pool, so they're hiring lifeguards and such. And I'm not sure what else was talked about, but for us, refs is definitely one of them. But another scenario would be in the basketball tournament that comes up at the end of February, we pay, or FBA has in the past paid folks to run the clock and the book because we're games all day Saturday. So it's been, actually, Alan can probably speak to why they moved away from volunteers, I'm guessing.
Well, yes, well, because it's a tournament style, so the level of play and we take it as a serious thing. So that's all like court monitors. We have all that. You want somebody official, keeping time, keeping book, keeping record, so that there's no discrepancy amongst whatever.
So during the season, I might grab a parent who just comes and helps run the clock, and if they screw up a little bit, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
So that it's not just the referees, it's also folks like that. So
And then it would be umpires for baseball.
umpires for
Soccer.
baseball, yeah, and then
Refs.
West River still holds their insurance enough to pay, but
Okay.
I think that's what I said to you all a few weeks ago, and then learned that FBA actually no longer holds that insurance, so they can't pay folks because they're not insured to run programs. So that's why this has kind of come up a little quicker than I expected. And then more specifically to that, we have through the Stack Sports, which is the registration software in this website, they have an ability to pay referees through their program, so we can utilize that. But where this comes from is that one of our referees does not have a bank account, and therefore can only be paid by check, not direct deposit. So signing up into that third-party software just isn't really an option for them. And then that then made me realize also with the scenario of clock workers and bookkeepers and such, that would be kind of the same. So it wouldn't just be this one ref.
Should be consistent.
Yeah, and
All employees are all members.
yeah, and then this, just to, you know, because apparently every time I bring you something, it's like post haste. The refs have worked a game already in December. And they're flexible to a degree of when they get paid, because I think we were once a month with FBA last year.
I did bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks,
Bi-weekly.
yeah, every 2 weeks they get a paycheck like a normal job, so they, I mean.
West River paid their main ref this summer at the end of the season, so it all kind of depends on.
Yeah, they're pretty flexible with what,
But I don't want to, I don't think Pat is expecting to get paid at the end of the season. I think he would rather get paid on a more regular basis, so, since that's what they're used to. Anyway, I know it's a big deal because y'all are the only ones that hire, so.
No, I think we reconciled that, so.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you a very prescribed.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out and start hiring road crew.
What they tasked me to do is to work with you on defining the boundaries of the delegation.
Okay.
And do you have the pay rates for the different officials, like X dollars per game, or, you know, do you have that?
Yeah, right
It
now.
should be at a not to exceed.
greater than.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, taking on what FBA and West River have done at the beginning of each season as a board, they would vote to what they were going to pay, and they would see what other places are paying. And so our basketball refs are 45 a game right now, which I think is the same as last year, almost positive on that.
Yeah.
So yes, there would be set, and that's something that I could work with the advisory committee on to set those.
Well, yeah, because that would be a good idea to have that at the same time that the select board grants the authority, so that they know that, or they
But
can
then
follow soon
annually,
thereafter.
you're gonna have, I mean, seasonally, you're gonna have to adjust that.
And that's really a select board
But
decision,
it's,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, it would be annual in the sense of the beginning of each youth season.
Right, you tell us what the prevailing rate was.
Whether it stays the same or our stipend goes up, but, yes, I mean, you tell me what you need, and I'll do that. And whatever rate I would be suggesting would be essentially what the other programs are paying, just to keep, because there are not many refs out there. It's getting more and more difficult to find. I'm still waiting for one for Saturday, actually.
If these refs and officials were hired and were legally Londonderry town employees, somebody would have to be responsible for I-9s and documentation checks and stuff like that. Are you sure your person that doesn't have a bank account can do that?
Yes, I've spoken with the other towns that also hired him, and he's got a social security. He exists.
Having social security and being able to document for an I-9 are two entirely separate things.
I copy. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that. That's
Yeah.
But maybe what I missed was, were we thinking W4 employee or W9 contracted?
Employee,
Okay. Sorry.
9 is vendor, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry. More work.
is what it is. That's
So we
why
can
I-
get that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
And so which would be changing your job description to allow for that, but it would be good, I think, to actually have those rates ready to go, so that if,
As much as
presuming
you
the board
get,
approves,
yeah.
presuming the board approves that change the job description, you can go.
Okay. So I will get together wages for the next essentially year, the different sports.
As far out as you can get them, yeah.
Yeah.
Subject to change, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
Can't you just put something in there subject to select board approval annually? That way it's not in his job description, so he can come to us every
Oh,
year
yeah, yeah.
and say,
You can just
it's
have
this
a
much.
It would be a separate-
I need.
To me, it'd be a separate item. Once the job description, number 2 is the rates.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there's kind of 3 different hiring seasons.
Yeah.
May hire at select board approved rates. That sort of thing.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Sorry.
We don't need an executive session? Somebody said we might.
That's a whole nother, did you and Shane get a chance to talk today?
No,
Yeah,
no, this was about that individual.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the executive session's a whole nother conversation of annual review.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to catch up on this.
Yeah, we were hoping the Parks Board would.
Somebody's got to evaluate him.
His supervisor is the
Advisor.
Mountain Towns,
Yeah.
so they would need to get together, unless the board wants to change the job description again to include the Parks Board.
No.
And as, you know, there's just, they meet more often, so.
But if that is the case, then the advisory committee is not meant to meet for another month or so, so I might check with them to see if we can meet sooner, and then we can get that on next meeting's agenda, potentially.
Because this would be the 1-year review, you know, and after that, we would go to the June thing, that would be also.
Right, I guess, yeah, everybody's supposed to be in June, but they're hired in December, so I'm just trying to keep you on your toes, I guess.
All right.
Sorry to keep you waiting, thank you.
No.
And I don't know how quick you'll get it together, but we will have a special meeting next week, and we could approve it then if you have it ready.
Maybe.
But if not, it'll be the next meeting.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Great, thank you. You want this?
you're supposed to sign that one too. That's all we got.
So, all right, neither of these get,
We don't need a motion there, so. Last, who wants to make it?
I move to adjourn the